We want everyone in our listening album to feel a little bit of that holiday spirit, a little bit of that joy as we continue our conversations on today's Real Black Radio around holiday releases and the films that feature good stories about Black folk.
Definitely,
as Real Black always covers.
Well, before we jump into talking about Fences, which opens on Sunday everywhere, I did want to thank folks for watching our YouTube channel this year, and we're about to cross a milestone. God willing, we're about to hit 100,000 subscriber mark.
Nice.
And I'm excited about. We started the channel in 2007, and now we're finally at that point where we're about to hit that 100,000, and you get a big, nice silver plaque when you get 100,000.
Okay.
So I really want that. So I encourage people who are listening, if they haven't already, to subscribe, and it's a youtube.com/reelblack, REELBLACK. And right now, we have lots of interviews. We just did a podcast on Dolomite, which we talked about last week on the air. And we also have rare movies from the 60s, civil rights movement documentaries that we're finding from the archives, and as well as an interview with Russell Hornsby and Adepo, who play Denzel Washington's son.
Russell Hornsby is handsome.
Yes.
I'm just saying.
you know him from Grimm or what?
No, I know from, what was it, The Corner? What was the name of was that it?
I think so.
The previous series, HBO series?
Yeah, he's been in a ton of stuff.
He was a dad in a series that basically I think it was set in Baltimore, that, just talked about the kind of crossroads between the drug trade and other urban concerns, trying to keep your family safe and trying to keep them together. And so that's how I first became familiar with him. That was long before Grimm.
Yeah, just real legit actors. So they played Denzel's sons in Fences. And then... really. So you had a chance to see this one.
I did indeed.
Are you as keen on it?
Yes, I was very, very pleased, and so I will Oscars. I will reserve my Tyler Perry dig from being too prolific in this conversation. But Fences shows that you can take material that was designed to be performed on stage and give it a sense of place and give it a sense of purpose without creating extra characters, without adding other layers to a story, and just let the material do what the material is designed to do. I was very, very pleased that they didn't take the story into new spaces or do too much extra with it. Almost everything in that play happened at the house. Aside from, a look here or there at Denzel's workplace, a bar where they went. But most of that story was told at the house. And that's the way August Wilson wrote it and designed it.
Yeah, it definitely adds another layer to the story because they shot it in Pittsburgh, in the Hill District where it takes place. And the production design is incredible. And the way they open up is very respectful. So yeah, I mean, I can't imagine a better interpretation of this material.
Right.
Now, it's not without its flaws, because it's almost over 2 hours or whatever.
Yeah.
There's a lot of dialogue. There's a lot to pay attention to.
But that's also the way August Wilson writes. So, just taking into consideration the idea that this is adapted from a stage play, that it is part of a canon of work that August Wilson gave us before he moved on to another plane, and the idea that both Denzel and Viola Davis, cut their teeth on Broadway in creating, interpreting these roles.
Yeah, so you can't do better. It has a different rhythm than movies that you may be accustomed to seeing.
Right.
Right. So it may take a little while for you to settle into what's going on. He's just putting you into the story.
Yeah.
But it's a great story. It's one of the great American stories.
Yeah.
It's from one of the great American writers, and the film is based on a screenplay that August Wilson himself wrote.
Right.
So you can't get a better production, and Denzel's directing
was wonderful.
And you get to see two actors who won Tonys for their roles on Broadway,
yes,
bringing the film to screen. Everybody that was in the Broadway cast, with the exception of the son, who's replaced by Jovan, is there. So what better? I mean, if you're a fan of something like the great, and there's very few Black plays that have been successfully adapted to film.
Exactly.
Starting with, say, Take a Giant Step, maybe, but obviously Raisin in the Sun,
yeah,
and River Niger has been done really well, and clearly Soldier's Story, which was Soldier's play, have been adapted. So now you have Fences to add to that collection.
Yes.
And just just powerful. I mean, in some ways I felt like, please don't cut. Just let me watch what I want to see from these two great actors going head to head, back and forth. In some ways it's probably, just relax. You don't have to show me everything.
Yeah.
I'm there. I'm sold on it.
In the conversation, and that's one of the things that August Wilson plays they are monologue heavy. So when it clearly establishes who the main characters are, because they do most of the talking, and the way that he is very circular in his writing. See, part of what I love is that August Wilson writes to me. He's almost like the male equivalent of Toni Morrison. She also writes in that kind of circular way. Right. You swirl in these words because it is beautiful poetry and imagery that these folks are giving us for why they are who they are and why they do what they do. I don't think anybody can walk out of that theater without understanding the father's character. You might not like him, you might not agree with him, but you understand why he is the way he is after you listen to him.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
That's powerful stuff.
It's like the African American Willie Loman kind of thing. Like you get a full portrait, and Denzel delivers.
Yes, he does.
He delivers. So. And it's a family film, also.
Yes.
I mean, it's a lot of big things happening.
Yeah, that make you cover the baby's eyes. It's the conversation might get a little adult at times, but not with bad language. It's just adult situations. Right,
and it's a human story. It's something everybody can connect to. And I guess just for people who aren't familiar with Fences, I'll give a little bit. So Denzel plays Troy Maxson, who's a former Negro League ball player who, because of discrimination and segregation, never really got his full shot at life. And he's got two sons, one biological with his current wife, Viola Davis, and his
one from a previous
relationship, and the young son wants to, I guess, follow in his footsteps in a way. He's an athlete. He wants to play football.
Yeah. And he just wants to pursue his own dream. And use his skills in a way that he sees will open up the world to him. Right.
And Troy's dead set against it, but he's also has a lot of flaws that are revealed within the course of the story.
Yeah.
That and I had an opportunity to see a tape of James Earl Jones' performance of it when I went up to Lincoln Center Library.
With Courtney Vance playing the son.
Courtney Vance and Frankie Faison as the brother. I mean, that's an incredible production. And I was like embarrassed. I'm sitting at the TV monitor. I'm just crying my eyes out at the beauty of the language and how everything emotionally just ties together. And so then I go into the new Fences or this version with Denzel. And Denzel has a whole different take. He's not James Earl Jones.
No,
he's Denzel.
Not. Yeah.
So I'm like, this isn't. But the words, something happens. There are a couple of things that happen in the story that you just lock into. And then when you get that last scene, it's just a pure catharsis, and you just come out. It's a transcendent emotion that I think that this material takes you on, that shouldn't really be missed. And I think if we're having this desire, and we're at the end of the Obama age. Yeah. It's kind of fitting that one of the best movies
you said this transcendent moment. Shout out to Michael T. Williamson, who plays Troy's brother Gabriel. And, that's not by accident, and I'll just leave it at that. Yeah. But especially for those of you who haven't seen the play, like, it's probably been 20 years since I've seen the play. So going to see the film wasn't the first time I had been exposed to the material, but there is something to be said for, like I said,
and Michael T's good.
An authentic portrayal of something that lives differently on stage.
Yes.
But there's nothing taken away from it in the way that it plays on screen, which is one of the things that I love, just taking it out of the Black realm for a second, the movie Closer. because that was also based on a stage play. And so we're talking Jude Law,
Yeah,
come on, Pretty Woman,
Julia
Roberts, Natalie Portman, and Clive Owen.
Okay.
Are so these are big white actors in mainstream Hollywood, and the way they shot this, the dialogue is biting in this film. But that's because on stage, when you're having these sort of antagonistic romantic relationships, you get that closeness, you get that.
Yeah, exactly. So
and that translated really well to film.
When you see Fences in a theatrical setting, the claustrophobia of the set, the fact that they really don't leave the back porch, creates a sense of tension that builds emotionally throughout the story. Whereas when you open it up to film, you're getting another thing in terms of like, wow, that's very convincing, the way they make it look like 1957. And I'm feeling this. And then, as the movie progresses, they layer in music and different things that make you really get a better sense of place. But at the same time, because the camera has that freedom, you lose a little bit of the tension, but the words are still there. And you're just seeing Denzel and Viola for 2 hours really operating at the highest level.
And Viola, who has been confirmed will receive her star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in early 2017. Shout out for that. She is so understated, which her character had to be within because Troy Maxson, Denzel's portrayal, and Troy Maxson is big.
Yes.
He looms large in this story and in the film. But it's sort of like knife jabs. Every time she has to have an emotional confrontation in the context of this relationship, and jokingly, I mentioned this on the air the other day, but I met a listener, and I sat with her during the film, and I was just saying, I need to ride home and listen to Beyonce's Lemonade, because so much of what Beyonce explored within the context of how she was speaking about relationships and learning and generationally is depicted in this film, and it just seems like a nice accompaniment. So if you need a little bit of the old and a little bit of the new, then they go well together.
All right, Viola. I'm not mad. I'm not mad at Viola.
Not at all. Not at all.
And shout out to Lee Daniels, who also got a star on the Walk of Fame earlier this week or last week, I think it was. But
indeed. Yeah. So Philadelphia is doing it up, and we are definitely seeing people reap some of the rewards of their labor, their long labor, for bringing us wonderful storytelling on screen. We got to take our final commercial break of this segment, and when we come back, Mike will give us some more information about some of his best of 2016s and things that you can binge watch and catch up on as we continue through this holiday season. Stay tuned for the conclusion of today's Reelblack Radio after this.